The phone buzzed against the dashboard, cutting through the hum of the car's engine and the low drone of the radio. I glanced at it, half expecting another work email or a spam call. The screen lit up with my little brother's name, Elliot. My stomach did a small flip. He never called, not in the middle of the day, not when I was 3 hours deep into a drive for a work conference in a city I barely knew. I tapped the speakerphone, keeping one hand on the wheel, the other brushing a stray coffee cup from the passenger seat. "Elliot, what's up, buddy?" I tried to keep my voice light, but something in the silence on the other end made my grip tighten. The road stretched out ahead, a gray ribbon under a heavy September sky, clouds piling up like they were holding their breath. "Jake." His voice was small, not the usual cocky teenage drawl I'd gotten used to. It trembled, like he was trying to hold something back. "You gotta come home. Now." I laughed, more out of reflex than anything. "Whoa, slow down. I'm on the road, man. What's going on? You forget your lines for the school play or something?" I pictured him pacing in his room, maybe stressed about some high school drama. He was 16, all hormones and attitude, always blowing things out of proportion. "It's Mom," he said, and the air sucked out of the car. "Something's wrong. She's not moving right. She was in the kitchen, and then she just fell. I don't know what to do." His voice cracked, and I heard a muffled sob. "Jake, please. I'm scared." The world tilted, my foot eased off the gas without me realizing, and the car behind me honked, loud and sharp. I swerved to the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires, and my hands shook as I grabbed the phone, taking it off speaker. "Elliot, listen to me. Where are you? Where's Mom right now?" "She's on the floor," he said, words tumbling out too fast. "In the kitchen. She was making dinner, and then she grabbed her chest and just dropped. I tried to help her up, but she's not talking right. She's breathing weird, Jay. I called 911, but they're not here yet, and I don't know what to do." "You're supposed to know what to do." My chest tightened, like someone was squeezing it with both hands. "Mom, she was 52, too young for this. She'd been fine when I left that morning. Tired maybe, but she'd hugged me, shoved a thermos of coffee in my hands, told me to drive safe." I could still see her standing in the doorway, her dark hair pulled back, that half smile she always gave me when she thought I was working too hard. Okay, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady, even though my heart was hammering so loud I could barely hear myself think. "You did good calling 911. Stay with her, all right? Keep talking to her. Tell her I'm coming. I'm coming right now, Elliot." "But you're not here," he shouted, and the raw panic in his voice cut me deeper than anything. "You're always gone, and now she's not okay, and I'm by myself. And this, I'm coming," I said again, louder, like saying it would make it true. "I'm turning around right now. Just stay with her. Put the phone on speaker and talk to her. Okay? Tell her I'm on my way. I'm gonna be there as fast as I can." He didn't answer, but I heard him fumbling, then his voice softer, talking to Mom. "Jake's coming, Mom. He's gonna be here. Just hold on, okay? Please." His words were choked, like he was trying to convince himself as much as her. I threw the phone back on the seat and yanked the wheel, cutting across the median, tires screeching as I swung the car around. The conference, the presentation I'd spent weeks preparing for, the promotion I was chasing, it all dissolved, meaningless. All I could see was Elliot's face, his wide, scared eyes, and Mom on the kitchen floor, her breath coming in ragged gasps. I pressed the gas pedal to the floor, the engine roaring as the speedometer climbed. The highway blurred past, exit signs and billboards smearing into streaks of color. My mind raced faster than the car. Mom had been complaining about feeling off for weeks. Little things like being out of breath after climbing the stairs or a weird pain in her shoulder she'd brushed off as sleeping wrong. I'd told her to see a doctor, but she'd laughed it off, said she was just getting old, that I worried too much. I should have pushed harder. I should have made her go. Why the hell hadn't I made her go? My phone buzzed again, but I didn't dare. I couldn't handle hearing Elliot's voice crack again. Not when I was still so far away. The GPS said 2 hours and 40 minutes to home, but that was at normal speeds, and I was already pushing 80, weaving through traffic like a maniac. Cars honked, headlights flashed, but I didn't care. Every second felt like it was slipping through my fingers, like Mom's life was leaking out with every mile I wasn't there. I tried to focus on the road, but my brain kept pulling me back to the kitchen. I could see it so clearly, the linoleum floor we'd helped Mom pick out when I was a kid, the fridge covered in Elliot's old drawings and my report cards, the chipped mugs she loved too much to throw out. She'd be lying there, maybe conscious, maybe not, and Elliot would be kneeling beside her, his skinny hands hovering, not knowing what to do. He was just a kid. He shouldn't have to deal with this alone. The guilt hit like a punch. I was the older brother, the one who was supposed to have it together. I'd moved out years ago, chasing a career, telling myself I'd visit more, call more, be there more. But I'd let work swallow me whole. Late nights, weekends at the office, trips like this one that kept me away when they needed me. And now Elliot was alone. And Mom was, I couldn't even think it. I wouldn't. I gripped the wheel so hard, my knuckles went white. Come on, I muttered, like I could will the car to go faster, like I could bend time and space to get there. Before it was too late, the sky was darkening now, heavy clouds rolling in, and the first drops of rain splattered against the windshield. Of course it would rain. Of course the world would pick this moment to throw up another obstacle. I flicked on the wipers, the rhythmic swish, swish filling the silence. My phone stayed quiet, and that scared me more than anything. Why wasn't Elliot calling back? Had the paramedics shown up? Were they with her now? Or was it God? No, I shook my head, trying to shove the thought away. She was fine. She had to be fine. She was Mom, the one who'd raised us on her own after Dad left, the one who'd worked double shifts to keep the lights on, who'd never missed a single one of Elliot's plays or my track meets. Even when she was dead on her feet, she was too strong to just. The rain came harder, sheets of it blurring the road. I leaned forward, squinting through the downpour, my hands slick with sweat on the wheel. A semi-truck loomed ahead, moving too slow, and I swerved into the next lane, ignoring the blare of its horn. My heart was in my throat, my pulse a frantic drumbeat. Every mile felt like a lifetime, every second a gamble I was losing. I thought about the last time I'd seen her. Just that morning, she'd been in her robe, hair still damp from a shower, stirring sugar into her coffee. I'd been rushing out the door, late as usual, my tie half knotted. She'd called after me. Don't forget to eat something, Jake, you're too skinny. I'd rolled my eyes, thrown her a grin, promised I'd be back in a couple days. I hadn't even hugged her properly, just a quick squeeze before I was out the door. Why hadn't I stopped? Why hadn't I taken 5 damn minutes to sit with her, to really look at her? The road curved, and I took it too fast, the tires skidding slightly before I corrected. My phone buzzed again, and this time I grabbed it, fumbling to swipe it open. It was a text from Elliot. They're here. They're taking her to the hospital. Hurry. Relief flooded me, sharp and fleeting. The paramedics were there. They'd know what to do. They'd keep her alive. But the word hospital lodged in my chest like a stone. This was real. This was happening. I typed back a quick, "I'm coming," and tossed the phone down, pressing the gas harder. The speedometer ticked past 90, the engine whining. But I didn't care. I had to get there. I had to see her. The rain was relentless now, pounding the roof like it was trying to drown me. The wipers couldn't keep up, and the road was a slick, shimmering mess. I passed a sign for the next exit. Still an hour and a half from home. Too far. Too damn far. I pictured Elliot at the hospital, sitting in some sterile waiting room, his sneakers tapping nervously on the floor. He'd be alone, surrounded by strangers, waiting for news about Mom, waiting for me. I should have stayed home that morning, skipped the stupid conference, told my boss to shove it. I'd always told myself there'd be time to visit, time to take Mom and Elliot on that trip we'd always talked about, time to fix everything I'd let slide. But time was a liar, and now it was slipping away, and I was stuck on this endless road, chasing a moment I might never reach. The car hit a patch of water,
hydroplaning for a sickening second before I wrestled it back under control. My breath came in short, sharp gasps, and I realized I was crying, not sobbing, just silent tears mixing with the rain on my face. I wiped them away, angry at myself. Crying wouldn't help. Nothing would help unless I got there. I kept driving, the road stretching on, the rain falling harder, and all I could think was, please, Mom, hold on, I'm coming.
The rain hammered the windshield, a relentless drumbeat that matched the frantic rhythm of my heart. The highway was a blur of taillights and water, each mile marker a taunting reminder of how far I still was from home. My phone sat silent on the passenger seat, its screen dark, and every minute without a new message from Elliot felt like a knife twisting deeper. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white, and pushed the car faster, the engine's whine cutting through the storm. 95 miles an hour now, maybe more, but it still wasn't enough. Nothing would be enough until I was there, until I could see Mom, touch her, know she was still breathing. The text from Elliot, "They're here, they're taking her to the hospital, hurry," kept looping in my head, each word a jagged edge. The paramedics had her. That was good, right? They'd stabilize her, get her to the ER, figure out what was wrong. But the image of her on the kitchen floor, her breath ragged, Elliot's terrified voice describing it, wouldn't leave me. What if they were too late? What if she was already slipping away, and I was stuck here, weaving through traffic like a madman, powerless to do anything but drive? I swerved around a minivan, its driver laying on the horn as I cut back into the lane. My hands were shaking, slick with sweat, despite the chill in the air. The rain was coming down in sheets now, the wipers struggling to keep up, smearing the world into a distorted mess of light and shadow. I leaned forward, squinting through the downpour, my eyes burning from the strain. The GPS said 1 hour and 20 minutes to the hospital, but that was at legal speeds, and I was way past caring about speed limits or cops or anything else. All that mattered was getting to her. My mind kept dragging me back to Elliot, alone in that hospital waiting room. I could see him so clearly, his lanky frame hunched in one of those hard plastic chairs, his dark hair falling into his eyes, his hands fidgeting with the hem of his hoodie. He'd be trying to hold it together, trying to be the tough kid he always pretended to be, but he was just 16. He shouldn't be dealing with this. Not alone. I was the one who was supposed to be there, the one who was supposed to fix things, make it right. But I'd been too busy chasing a corner office, a bigger paycheck, a life that always seemed just out of reach. And now here I was, chasing something far more important, and I might already be too late. The phone buzzed, and my heart lurched. I fumbled for it, nearly dropping it as I swiped the screen. Another text from Elliot. "They're working on her. I'm at St. Mary's. Where are you?" My throat tightened, and I typed back, "Half an hour out. Hang in there. I'm coming." I hit send and tossed the phone down, my eyes flicking back to the road just in time to avoid a truck that had slowed in front of me. I swerved again, my tires skidding on the wet pavement, and for a split second I thought I'd lose control. The car fishtailed, the world tilting, but I yanked the wheel hard, and it steadied. My breath came in sharp gasps, adrenaline burning through me. Half an hour. I'd lied. It was more like 45 minutes. Maybe more with this rain, but I couldn't tell him that. He needed something to hold on to, and so did I. I pictured him reading my text, his face pale under the fluorescent lights of the hospital, clinging to the hope that I'd swoop in and make everything okay. That's what big brothers were supposed to do, right? Fix things, protect the people you love. But I hadn't protected Mom. I hadn't even noticed she was struggling. Not really. She'd always been the strong one, the one who held us together after Dad walked out, the one who never let us see her crack. How had I missed this? The road curved and I followed it, the tires humming against the wet asphalt.
My mind kept pulling me back to the last time I'd been home for more than a quick visit. It was Christmas, 9 months ago, and Mom had gone all out, lights strung up around the living room, a tree that was too big for the space, the smell of her cinnamon cookies filling the house. Elliot had been sprawled on the couch, playing some video game, talking smack like he was king of the world. Mom had been in the kitchen, humming off key to some old song on the radio, stirring a pot of chili. I'd been there, but not really, half my brain on my phone, answering emails, checking deadlines. She'd called me out on it, teasing, "Jake, you gonna join the family or just live in that screen?" I'd laughed, promised to put the phone away, but I hadn't, not really. Why had I let work eat up every spare moment, every chance to just sit with her, talk to her, hear her laugh? She'd always been there, steady as a rock, and I'd taken it for granted, like she'd always be there, like there'd always be time. But time was a thief, and now it was stealing her from me, and I was stuck in this damn car fighting a storm and my own regrets. The rain eased slightly, just enough for me to see the road signs more clearly. I was getting closer, 40 minutes out now, maybe less if I kept pushing, but the closer I got, the heavier the dread settled in my chest. What would I find when I got there? Would she be awake, talking, giving the nurses that stubborn look she always got when she didn't want to be fussed over? Or would it be worse? Would I walk in to find Elliot alone, his face crumpled, the doctors shaking their heads? I couldn't let myself think it, but the thought kept clawing its way back, sharp and relentless. I tried to focus on the road, on the rhythm of the wipers, on anything but the fear. Memories kept surfacing, unbidden, like they were trying to anchor me. Mom teaching me to ride a bike, her hands steady on the back of the seat, telling me to keep pedaling even when I wobbled. Mom staying up all night to help me with a science project I'd procrastinated on, her eyes tired but her voice patient. Mom at Elliot's first school play, clapping louder than anyone, even though he'd forgotten half his lines. She'd always been there, always showed up, no matter how tired or stretched thin she was, and I'd repaid her by being gone, by letting my life pull me away from hers. The phone buzzed again, and I grabbed it, my heart in my throat. "Elliot, they won't tell me anything. I'm so scared, Jen." My fingers hovered over the screen, wanting to type something comforting, something that would make it okay, but what could I say? I wasn't there. I didn't know any more than he did. I typed, "I'm almost there. You're not alone. Stay strong, okay," and hit send, but it felt hollow, like words couldn't bridge the gap between us. The rain picked up again, the wind gusting hard enough to rock the car. I passed a sign for St. Mary's, 30 miles. My foot pressed harder on the gas, the speedometer creeping past 100. The car shuddered, the tires fighting for grip, but I didn't care. I had to get there. I had to see her, to tell her I was sorry, to tell her I loved her, to make sure she knew. The thought of her lying in a hospital bed surrounded by strangers, not knowing if I'd make it in time, it was too much. My vision blurred and I realized I was crying again, hot tears mixing with the sweat on my face. I wiped them away, angry at myself for losing it when I needed to focus. The road stretched on, endless, the rain a curtain I couldn't see through. My mind kept cycling through the same questions. What had happened? Was it her heart? A stroke? Something else? She'd always seemed so strong, but I remembered now little signs I'd ignored. The way she'd pause at the top of the stairs catching her breath, the way she'd rub her shoulder wincing, then laugh it off when I asked if she was okay, the way she'd looked so tired lately, but I'd told myself it was just work, just life, nothing serious. I should have made her see a doctor. I should have been there. The hospital was closer now, 20 miles, maybe less. The rain was letting up, the clouds thinning enough to let a sickly gray light filter through. My phone stayed quiet, and I didn't know if that was better or worse than another text from Elliot. I kept picturing him, alone in that waiting room, his phone clutched in his hands, waiting for news, waiting for me. I wanted to call him, to hear his voice, to tell him I was almost there, but I couldn't risk it, not with the road this slick and my hands shaking like they were. I passed another sign, 10 miles to St. Mary's. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The car was a mess. Empty coffee cups rolling on the floor. My briefcase sliding around in the back seat. The air thick with the smell of rain. And my own panic. I tried to breathe, to calm myself, but every breath felt like it was catching on something sharp. I kept seeing Mom's face. Her smile, the way her eyes crinkled when she laughed. I kept hearing Elliot's voice, small and scared, begging me to hurry. The exit for the hospital appeared, a green sign glowing in the dusk. I took it too fast, the car skidding as I merged onto the off-ramp. The streets were quieter here, the rain slowing to a drizzle, but the city felt wrong, too still, like it was holding its breath. I followed the signs for St. Mary's, my hands trembling on the wheel, my mind racing with what I'd say when I got there. I'd tell her I was sorry. I'd tell her I loved her. I'd tell her I'd never leave again. Not like this. Not when it mattered. The hospital loomed ahead, a squat brick building with 2 bright lights spilling out into the parking lot. I pulled in, tires screeching as I found a spot near the emergency entrance. My hands fumbled with the keys, the door, my phone, everything moving too slow like I was underwater. I grabbed my phone and ran, the rain soaking through my jacket, my shoes slapping against the wet pavement. The automatic doors slid open, and I stumbled into the ER, the air sharp with antiseptic, and the hum of fluorescent lights. The waiting room was crowded, people slumped in chairs, a kid crying in the corner, a TV droning some news channel no one was watching. I scanned the room, my heart in my throat, looking for Elliot. There he was in the far corner, his hoodie pulled up, his knees drawn to his chest. He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him, like the weight of the world had crushed him down. Elliot, I called, my voice hoarse, and his head snapped up. His eyes were red, his face streaked with tears, and when he saw me, he scrambled to his feet, running toward me. I caught him, pulling him into a hug, his skinny frame shaking against me. "Jake," he sobbed into my shoulder, his voice muffled. "They won't tell me anything. They just keep saying to wait. I don't know if she's okay. I don't know what's happening." "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. Even though I didn't know any more than he did. "I'm here now. We're gonna figure this out together." I held him tighter, my own tears burning my eyes, and I looked over his shoulder at the reception desk, at the nurses moving with clipped efficiency, at the doors that led to wherever Mom was. I guided Elliot back to the chairs, my arm around his shoulders, and approached the desk. The nurse looked up, her face tired but kind. "Can I help you?" she asked. "My mom," I said, my voice cracking. "She was brought in by ambulance. Ellen Carter. I need to know what's happening." She typed something into her computer, her eyes scanning the screen. "Let me check," she said, and the wait felt like forever, each second stretching into eternity. Elliot clung to my arm, his breath hitching, and I realized I was holding my breath too, waiting for the words that would either save us or break us. "She's in the ICU," the nurse said finally, her voice steady but careful. "They're running tests. The doctor will come out to speak with you as soon as they have more information. You can wait here, or there's a family room near the ICU if you'd like." "ICU," I repeated, the word heavy, final. Is she stable? Can we see her?" "The doctor will update you soon," she said, and I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but her expression told me she didn't have them. "The family room is down the hall, to the left. I'll let them know you're here." I nodded, numb, and turned to Elliot. "Come on," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Let's go wait closer to her." He nodded, his eyes wide and scared, and we walked down the hall, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the air cold and sterile. The family room was small with faded chairs, and a coffee machine that looked like it hadn't worked in years. We sat, Elliot's hand still gripping mine, and the silence settled over us, heavy as the rain outside. All we could do now was wait, and every second felt like a lifetime. Every breath a prayer that Mom was still fighting, that I hadn't lost her. before I could say goodbye.
The family room near the ICU was a claustrophobic box of faded beige walls and worn-out chairs that smelled faintly of stale coffee and disinfectant. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glow that made everything look sickly, including Elliot, who sat beside me, his knees pulled up to his chest, his hoodie sleeves tugged over his hands. He hadn't said a word since we'd settled in here, his eyes fixed on the floor, tracing the cracks in the linoleum like they held answers. I wanted to say something, anything to fill the silence, but my throat was tight, my mind a jumble of fear and guilt that left no room for words. All I could do was sit there, my hand resting on his shoulder, hoping it was enough to keep him anchored. The clock on the wall ticked too loudly, each second a reminder of how long we'd been waiting. It had been 20 minutes since the nurse at the reception desk had sent us here, promising a doctor would come soon. But soon felt like a lie. Every creak of the door, every footstep in the hall, made my heart lurch, expecting news, good or bad. I wasn't sure which I feared more. I kept picturing Mom behind those double doors, hooked up to machines, her face pale, her hands still. Was she awake? Was she in pain? Was she asking for us? The not knowing was a weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Elliot shifted, his shoulder brushing against mine. "You think she's gonna be okay?" he whispered, his voice so small it barely reached me. His eyes flicked up to mine, wide and searching, and I saw the kid he used to be, the one who'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, asking if the lightning could get him. I'd always known what to say back then, how to make him feel safe, but now, I didn't have a clue. "I don't know," I said, hating how weak it sounded, but I couldn't lie to him, not now. The doctors are with her. They're doing everything they can. We just have to wait a little longer. I squeezed his shoulder, trying to pour some kind of strength into him, even though I felt like I was crumbling. He nodded, but his jaw tightened, and he looked back at the floor. "You weren't here," he said, so quietly I almost missed it. "When it happened, you were gone. Like always." The words hit like a slap, sharp and stinging, because they were true. I opened my mouth to respond, to explain, to apologize, but nothing came out. What could I say? That I'd been chasing a promotion, a life I thought would make things better for all of us, that I'd told myself there'd be time to come home, to be the son and brother they needed. It all felt hollow now, meaningless against the reality of Mom lying in a hospital bed, fighting for her life, and Elliot alone in that kitchen, watching it happen. "I'm here now," I said finally, my voice rough. "I'm not going anywhere, okay? We're in this together." He didn't answer, just leaned his head against my arm, and I felt the weight of his trust, fragile and heavy all at once. I wanted to be the big brother he needed, the one who could fix this, but I felt like a fraud. All I could do was sit there, holding on to him, waiting for the world to either give us a miracle or take everything away. The door swung open, and my head snapped up. A doctor stood there, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes, and a clipboard clutched against her scrubs. My heart stopped, then started again, pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Elliot sat up, his grip tightening on my hand, and we both stared at her, waiting for the words that would change everything. "You're Ellen Carter's family?" she asked, her voice calm but guarded, like she was choosing each word with care. "Yeah," I said, standing, pulling Elliot up with me. "I'm Jake, her son. This is Elliot, my brother. How's our mom? Can we see her?" She gestured for us to sit, and my stomach dropped. Doctors didn't ask you to sit for good news. I stayed standing, my legs locked, refusing to move until she told us something. Elliot pressed closer to me, his breathing shallow. "I'm Dr. Patel," she said, her eyes softening just a fraction. "Your mother was brought in with symptoms consistent with a severe cardiac event, likely a heart attack. She was unresponsive when the paramedics arrived,
but they were able to stabilize her enough to get her here. We've run initial tests, and she's in critical condition in the ICU. We're doing everything we can, but her condition is unstable. Unstable, I repeated, the word like ash in my mouth. What does that mean? Is she awake? Is she going to make it? Dr. Patel hesitated, and that pause was worse than anything she could have said. She's not conscious at the moment, she said. We've got her on a ventilator to help with her breathing, and we're administering medication to stabilize her heart rhythm. We're waiting on more test results to determine the extent of the damage and our next step. I know this is hard, but we're doing everything possible. Elliot made a small choked sound, and I pulled him closer, my arm around his shoulders. Can we see her? I asked again, my voice breaking. Please, we need to see her. Dr. Patel nodded. You can see her, but I need to prepare you. She's connected to a lot of equipment, monitors, IVs, the ventilator. It can be overwhelming. She won't be able to respond, but you can talk to her. Sometimes patients can hear their loved ones, even if they can't show. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. Elliot was shaking now, his whole body trembling, and I held him tighter, like I could keep him from falling apart. Dr. Patel led us out of the family room, and down a sterile hallway, the air cold and sharp with the smell of antiseptic. The ICU doors loomed ahead, heavy and final, and when they swung open, the beeping of machines and the low murmur of nurses hit me like a wave. She stopped at a glass-walled room, the curtains partially drawn. Through the gap I could see Mom lying in a bed that looked too big for her, surrounded by machines that blinked and hummed. Tubes snaked from her arms, her chest, her mouth, and her face was so pale it didn't look like her at all. My knees buckled, but I caught myself gripping Elliot's shoulder to keep us both upright. You can go in, Dr. Patel said softly. Take your time. I'll be nearby if you have questions. I nodded, unable to look away from Mom. Elliot clung to my arm, his breath hitching, and I realized he was crying, silent tears streaming down his face. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, and pushed open the door. The room was small, the air heavy with the mechanical rhythm of the ventilator. Mom lay still, her chest rising and falling in time with the machine, her hands resting at her sides, fingers curled slightly like she was reaching for something. I moved to the bed, Elliot right behind me, and I reached for her hand, careful not to disturb the IV taped to her skin. Her fingers were cool, too cool, and I squeezed them gently, hoping she could feel it. Mom, I said, my voice cracking. It's Jake. Elliot's here too. We're right here with you. I waited, stupidly hoping for a response. A twitch of her hand, a flicker of her eyelids, anything, but there was nothing. Just the steady beep of the heart monitor, and the whoosh of the ventilator. Elliot sank into the chair beside the bed, his head bowed, his hands clenched in his lap. I'm sorry, he whispered, so low I barely heard him. I didn't know what to do. I tried to help, but I didn't know how. I knelt beside him, my hand on his back. You did everything right, I said, my voice thick. You called 911. You got her help. You did good, Elliot. She's still here because of you. He shook his head, tears dripping onto his jeans. I should have noticed sooner. She said she was tired, but I thought she was just young. You know, Mom, always working too hard. I didn't think it was this. None of us did, I said, and the guilt surged again, sharp and relentless. I should have noticed. I should have been. I stood, turning back to Mom, and leaned closer, my hand still holding hers. We're here now, Mom. We're not going anywhere. You gotta fight, okay? We need you. The words felt inadequate, too small for the weight of what I wanted to say. I wanted to tell her. I was sorry for every time I'd brushed her off, every time I'd chosen work over family, every time I'd assumed there'd be more time. I wanted to tell her how much I loved her, how much she meant to us, how we couldn't do this without her. But all I could do was stand there holding her hand, listening to the machines that were keeping her alive. Time blurred. Nurses came and went, checking monitors, adjusting tubes, their faces kind but unreadable. Dr. Patel checked in once, updating us on tests. Something about an angiogram, possible surgery, words that swam in my head, without sticking. Elliot stayed in the chair, his eyes fixed on Mom, like if he looked away she'd disappear. I paced, sat, paced again, my body restless, my mind trapped in a loop of what-ifs and if-onlys. Hours passed, maybe 2, maybe more. The sky outside the window turned dark, the rain starting up again, tapping against the glass. I kept holding Mom's hand, talking to her in fits and starts, telling her about Elliot's last soccer game, about the time we'd gone camping, and she'd burned the marshmallows, about anything I could think of to keep her tethered to us. Elliot joined in sometimes, his voice shaky but determined, telling her about his new art project, how he'd drawn her favorite flowers, how he'd show her when she woke up. At some point, Dr. Patel came back, her expression grim. My heart sank, and I stood, bracing myself. "We've got the results from the angiogram," she said. "There's significant blockage in 2 of her coronary arteries. We're preparing for emergency surgery. A coronary artery bypass. It's a serious procedure, but it's her best chance." "Surgery," I echoed, my mouth dry. "Will she? How risky is it?" "It's a major procedure," Dr. Patel said, her voice steady but not sugarcoating. "There are risks, especially given her condition, but without it, her chances are much lower. We're moving as quickly as we can. The surgical team is prepping now." Elliot looked up, his face pale. "Can we see her before they take her?" Dr. Patel nodded. "You can stay with her until they're ready to move her. It won't be long." She left, and I sank back into the chair, my head in my hands. Surgery. It was a chance, but it was also a gamble, and the thought of losing her on an operating table made my stomach churn. Elliot reached for Mom's hand, his fingers trembling as he held it. "You gonna be okay?" he whispered. "You have to be. We're right here." I watched him, my heart breaking for him, for Mom, for all of us. I wanted to promise him it would be okay, but I couldn't. All I could do was be here, hold his hand, hold hers, and pray that it was enough. The surgical team came too soon, their footsteps brisk, their voices low. They explained the procedure again, but it was a blur of medical terms I couldn't process. They wheeled Mom's bed out, the machines rolling along with her, and we followed as far as they'd let us, to the edge of the surgical wing. A nurse stopped us, her hand gentle on my arm. "You can wait in the family room," she said. "We'll update you as soon as we can." I nodded, numb, and pulled Elliot close as they took Mom away. The doors swung shut behind her, and it felt like they were closing on my heart. We went back to the family room, the silence heavier than ever, and sat, waiting again, the clock ticking louder, the rain falling harder. The hours dragged. I don't know how long we sat there, Elliot's head resting on my shoulder, my eyes fixed on the door. Every time it opened, my heart stopped, expecting the worst. Nurses came with updates. "She's in surgery. They've started the bypass. Everything's going as planned." But it didn't ease the fear. Elliot fell asleep at some point, his breathing uneven, and I let him stay there, not wanting to wake him to this nightmare. Finally, Dr. Patel returned, her scrubs wrinkled, her face unreadable. I stood, my heart in my throat, and Elliot stirred, blinking away. "The surgery went as well as we could hope," she said, and I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. "She's in recovery now, still critical, but stable. The next 24 hours are crucial, but she's a fighter." Relief flooded me, sharp and overwhelming, but it was tempered by the word critical. She was alive, but she wasn't out of the woods. "Can we see her?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Soon," Dr. Patel said. "She's still under heavy sedation. We'll let you know when you can go in." I nodded, pulling Elliot into a hug. He was crying again, but this time it was different. Relief, not despair. "She's gonna make it," he said, like he was trying to convince himself. "She has to." "Yeah," I said, my voice breaking. We waited again, but this time it felt different, like there was a sliver of hope to hold on to. When they finally let us see her, she looked small in the recovery room, still hooked to machines, but her color was better, her breathing steady. We sat with her, talking softly, holding her hands, and for the first time in hours, I felt like we might be okay. Every day since that night, I replay that call from Elliot, the panic in his voice. The moment I realized I might lose her, the guilt still gnaws at me. Why didn't I see the signs? Why wasn't I there? Mom's recovering now. Slowly, but the fear lingers. A shadow that never quite leaves. Elliot's eyes still carry that day too. But we're healing together. If you get that call, don't wait. Drop everything. You might not get another chance.